A hush settled over the luxurious Stratosphere Lounge at Grand Central Station. Morning sunlight streamed through tall, arched windows, casting a warm glow on polished brass fixtures. The rich scent of fresh coffee filled the air. Vivian Thorne, a striking woman in a tailored crimson suit, sat with perfect posture, sipping her espresso like it was part of a ritual. Her sharp gaze was locked on a young woman across the room. The girl wore a plain hoodie and faded jeans, completely absorbed in her phone, seemingly unaware of the exclusive setting around her. "This is unacceptable," Vivian muttered under her breath, her tone dripping with venom. "She doesn't belong here. I paid for privacy, not to share space with freeloaders." Marcus, the lounge manager in a flawless suit, approached carefully. "Ms. Thorne, her ticket is valid. She's confirmed for the express carriage." Vivian's lips twisted. "Then check again. People like her always find a way in. This is about standards, about keeping a certain kind of clientele." The tension in the lounge began to rise, whispers rippling through the air like the warning before a storm. When the boarding call for the express carriage echoed through the station, Vivian strode toward the gate, her voice slicing through the polite murmur of passengers. "This woman doesn't belong here. Move her to a regular car immediately." Lena, the gate agent, stayed calm. "Her ticket is valid. She's cleared for the express carriage." Vivian's temper exploded. "I demand you listen to me. This isn't just about a seat. It's about who we allow into our world." Just as the doors of the carriage began to close, two sharply dressed men stepped onto the platform. The atmosphere shifted instantly. They weren't ordinary travelers. They were Zenith Rail board members, men with the power to decide multi-million-dollar contracts. They walked straight toward the girl in the hoodie. Vivian's perfect composure began to crack. The scene tightened. Her manicured hands gripped the handle of her designer bag, knuckles white. The soft hum of the lounge faded into the pounding of her own heartbeat as she marched to the gate, her heels striking the marble floor like a judge's gavel. Chloe Miller kept her distance, calm but watchful. Her phone buzzed with a message from her father. "Be proud. Never let them diminish you." She closed her eyes for half a second, then stepped forward. The standoff went public. Vivian's voice rang out, cutting through the golden light of the station. "There's a mistake. This young woman cannot possibly have an express carriage ticket. Check again." Murmurs rose as an audience began to gather. Chloe felt every stare, some curious, some cold. Ben, the gate agent, stood his ground. "Her ticket is valid. She's cleared for the express carriage." The air went still. Chloe lifted her chin, refusing to shrink back. Vivian's face hardened. "Do you know who I am? I'm not paying for this kind of company." Ben's reply was calm but firm. "The express carriage isn't about who you are. It's about how you travel." Chloe's pulse raced, but her voice stayed even. "I'm just here for my seat." Vivian stared in disbelief as Chloe walked past, boarding pass in hand. Whispers followed her onto the train. Inside the express carriage, muted gold and cream interiors gleamed under soft lighting. Privacy doors were half closed, but the tension still hung in the air. Leo, the carriage attendant, greeted her warmly. "Welcome, Miss Miller. If you need anything, I'm right here." Chloe's smile was gentle but steady. "Thank you, Leo. I'm fine." She settled into Suite 2, looking back toward the platform. Vivian stormed in moments later, tossing her bag into the suite across from Chloe. Her glare was sharp enough to cut glass. "You must think you're special," she said in a low, shaking voice. "But money can't buy class." Chloe said nothing. Her silence was power. The train roared to life, climbing onto the tracks. Vivian's frustration spilled over. "This is unacceptable. I want her moved. I paid for peace, not—" She cut herself off, but the unfinished words hung in the air like smoke. Leo's voice was gentle, but unshakable. "We're fully booked, Miss Thorne. Every passenger here has earned their seat." The crew moved with extra care around Chloe, forming an unspoken barrier between her and hostility from across the aisle. The train leveled out, and Chloe put on her headphones, opening her book. Outwardly calm, inside she felt a familiar weight of anxiety. Memories of being the only young architect among seasoned professionals. The only one doubted. The only one told she didn't belong. Every stare, every whisper, all rushing back at 200 miles per hour. Then the air in the carriage shifted. Two men in sharp suits rose from the front row and walked down the aisle with purpose. Passengers sat up, sensing importance. Vivian straightened in her seat, watching as the men stopped. Not at the conductor's cabin, but right at Chloe's suite. "Miss Miller," one said with a warm smile. "We were hoping to speak with you before we arrive. May we discuss your Q3 projections?" Vivian froze, champagne glass suspended midair. "The Shanghai-Singapore corridor analysis you prepared," the other man added, "has opened important opportunities for us." Chloe's voice was calm, professional, and confident. "The data shows strong growth. We should shift resources before competitors do." The men nodded and began discussing routes, numbers, and regulatory plans with her. Passengers exchanged glances, watching the quiet young woman now command the attention of the most influential men on the train. Vivian's certainty drained from her face, replaced by a flicker of dread. She tried to insert herself. "Excuse me, I'm with Thorne and Thorne Associates. Perhaps I could contribute." Richard Hayes, the CEO, turned to her with a cold voice. "Miss Thorne, I know exactly who you are. We'll speak shortly." The tension in the carriage sharpened. The board members finished with Chloe, shaking her hand with genuine respect. "See you at Friday's board meeting," they said before leaving. Richard glanced back at Vivian, his look more warning than invitation. Vivian's composure wavered. She grabbed her phone, searching for control, but every glance from staff and every polite nod from passengers now felt like quiet judgment. Chloe texted her father, "It's happening again, but I'm holding my head high." His reply came instantly. "Proud of you. Never let them define you." A sudden bump of turbulence rippled through the carriage. Vivian seized a chance to complain. "See? Even the ride's a mess. This whole experience is beneath me." Leo's response was calm but firm. "Respect is earned in how we treat others, not in how loudly we complain." At lunch, Vivian tried to recover her status, speaking loudly about her elite clients to anyone who would listen. But the atmosphere had changed. Conversations grew quiet. People turned away. A polite wall of distance surrounded her. Chloe found a moment of peace by the window, breathing deeply. The loneliness still hurt, but knowing she had allies, both seen and unseen, gave her strength. Time passed. The train cut smoothly through the countryside. The earlier clash had faded, but the tension was still there. Then came the knock. Leo stood at Vivian's seat. Miss Thorne, Mr. Hayes, and Mr. Chun would like a word in the aisle. All eyes followed her. Richard Hayes's voice was cold. "Miss Thorne, your behavior was reported by staff and witnessed by leadership. Your company claims to sell inclusion and culture transformation, but today you showed neither. Our rail line will not tolerate discrimination. Your firm's bid for our next major contract is withdrawn, effective immediately." Thomas Chun, the COO, stepped forward. "And your VIP status is revoked. You're no longer welcome on any of our express services." Vivian opened her mouth to argue, but Richard's stare silenced her. "You judged Chloe Miller by her appearance and insulted the very person shaping our future. Actions have consequences." Chloe listened, her heart pounding, not with triumph, but with relief. Maybe this was the start of change. Vivian sat in silence, her world unraveling at 200 miles per hour. No allies, no whispered support, only the quiet judgment of those who now saw her clearly. As the train slowed into Grand Central, Chloe closed her eyes, feeling the rhythm of the wheels beneath her. She wasn't celebrating. She was standing strong, her dignity intact. When the doors opened, Chloe gathered her things and paused at the aisle, meeting Vivian's eyes. Her voice was steady. This could have been different. Vivian said nothing. Security stood ready to escort her out. Her reputation, her status, and her future lay behind her in the wreckage of her prejudice. Chloe stepped into the terminal, carrying more than just her suitcase. She carried a story, one about courage, dignity, and the quiet strength of staying true to yourself. As passengers melted into the crowd, Chloe turned for one last glance at the train. Vivian's seat was empty now. Just an empty seat. Her phone buzzed. Proud of you. Come home. A soft smile formed on her lips. Change rarely comes in one loud moment, but it comes.